All right, good morning. Welcome to the first day of final presentations. We have kind of a full day today. Teams will have 15 minutes to present their project, where they got to in the semester. I'll have 5 minutes for questions. I'll be keeping track of the time up here. And so I think with that, we're about ready to start. I think Questline? All right, you guys ready? Come on up.
The projector is not.
Oh, is that projector?
No, it's on. It's just blank. On the touch screen down here, there's a button that says blank. Okay. Yeah. Go to.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning, everyone. We are Questline, the level design team, and we are happy to showcase our project today. Our instructors are Ruth Comley and Ricardo Washington. They have been a great help in shaping and scoping our project, along with our project meta expert, Keto Majumda, who is a level designer at Meta and more notably an ETC alumni. Questline is a team of 7. We have 3 artists, Marsh, Jim, and Howard. Also, along with 3 designers, Kimi, myself, Ayaka, and Samantha as our producer. First, what is level design in one sentence? A level is a segment of a game designed with objectives that guide players through gameplay experience. For example, in Mario game, as you can see in this picture, the obstacles and path between the start and the final castle is a small level. And what the player experiences and feelings during this journey is their gameplay experience. So you can say level design is mapping out the paths or process in which our player can succeed in their mission.
Next is about our project purpose. This project serves an opportunity for students to experience the level production process and create portfolio pieces. And we aim to create a video game level within the Rift's tabletop RPG universe that teaches player game mechanics and explore the level. So what comprised of our project? Basically, we have a level prototype because we are the level production team. And since we have a existing IP, we need our mission objectives. Also, we made our game mechanic. They are combined with each other to design the whole map. And since our team are not only designers, we have different kinds of talent. So to polish our game, we have different UI components, 3D asset, and visual effect. Then let me showcase our game trailer.
In a world shattered by the great cataclysm, where the chaotic aftermath of the rifts has unleashed unspeakable horrors upon Earth, the Vampire Kingdom stands as a dark testament to humanity's plight. A shadow-bound hunter, torn between light and darkness, wields the power of shadows in a land consumed by chaos and blood. Will the hunter become the hunted?
I bet your abilities are starting to awaken. The vampire intelligence is reaching out to you. Don't run away from your new abilities. They can't be useful.
Will the hunter become the hunted?
Don't rush in guns blazing. Stealth is always the best option. That's Vampire Hunting 101. Crouch down, stay low, make your shot count. You don't have many minutes.
Hunter, you're still alive. This time, there will be no escape. All of you, heed my call. Capture him by any means necessary and bring him to me alive. Hunter, you're still alive. This time, there will be no escape. All of you, heed my call. Capture him by any means necessary and bring him to me alive.
Then speaking of our narratives, it's originally from the Rift's IP, and our game is Rift Shadow Ascent. So the background story is, in a post-apocalyptic world, a vampire hunter finally recovers from a battle with the vampire intelligence, which you have already seen is the villain in the video before. And with the fighting with the leader of vampire, it unlocked a new power in the vampire hunter. He became aware of his half-vampire DNA. Then it's the level summary.
So why we choose stealth as our core mechanic? Due to the dark, horror, and terrifying elements of our world setting contains vampires and such monsters. We want to immerse our player in this terrifying atmosphere. They need to sneak through the mysterious pyramid, avoiding the patrols of vampires and steal the keys and portal device to save the prisoner in the pyramid. Also, choosing stealth as a core mechanic helps us to focus more on the level design and the enemy AI logics and reduce the complexity of combat system. About our shadow step mechanic, after researching other stealth game, we found that allowing player to quickly move to advantageous position would be a very important ability for this type of game. This mechanic provides players with diverse strategy decision-making options. For example, they can use this to retreat quickly, to observe the environment and enemy actions, or sneak behind the enemies. We combine this to our shadow merge mechanic since we want to tie this more to our stealth mechanic, and we also want the player to observe the distribution of the shadow merge area in each level within the room to decide their strategy of decisions.
And then let me give you a detailed breakdown of each levels in our game. So this is the beginning part of our level. It's the intro of the world setting set up in a Rift's Vampire Kingdom, which is in a desert. So the environment with the leading line created by the ley line energies, as you can see those blue power lines in the scene, it all leading to the temple. This part gave the player a brief introduction of the world setting, also the basic control of movement navigation tutorial. And after the player reaches the temple, the level starts from the top of the entrance, which is a traditional Aztec temple setting. And this part has two puzzles related to the world. The first one is a moon puzzle related to the Vampire Kingdom, and the second one is the Aztec puzzle related to the world. And after that, player going to use the ability of Sixth Sense to get like some clues around the platform to reach the second door. And after player reaches the inside temple, you're going to encounter several important tutorials in our gameplay. Enemies and traps, also challenges and rewards. So this section of the level focuses on the tutorial and the reinforcement of the player ability. This one, the player can use Sixth Sense to discover some traps and also enemies. This is a crouching room, and this is the shadow step tutorial to let the player learn the new mechanic. And after that, player can enjoy the stealth mechanics, also the abilities throughout this level to practice the skill and reinforce the stealth gameplay. And at the end of this part, the player tries from one shadow to another shadow and transform to the second level. So other player goes down the bottom of the temple, which integrates all of our gameplay and all of the storytelling. So the player navigates through this is wild vampire rooms that has a lot of traps and the wild vampires. The player has to combine the crouching and the ability to pass through this room. This is the trap room, which also the player has to use the shadow dash to pass through different dangerous areas. This is the prison area. The player has to complete the main mission. The player gets to get the key in the library area, and after that, player has to reach to the boss room. Yeah, which is here. The player can get the portal, the teleport device to save the prisoners. So here's the portal, which is the final goal of the player. So in the progression video I just showed, we established the one-part kingdom world setting with the Rift TRPG universe. So we also have the player unique ability and identity. So the player gets to use the ability frequently throughout playing the level with a progressive learning curve. Finally, it reaches to the climax part, which is the end of the level by completing the player missions.
In order to create this level progression, we had to make a number of design decisions, but how did we do that? So we often referenced the IP, evaluated a time and quality interest relationship, as well as trying to implement as much playtest feedback as possible. So since we were given an IP, and that was a big challenge for this semester, we referenced it in regard to what content we want to make. So we asked ourselves what would make the most sense in the Rift's Vampire Kingdom universe. And this led us to choose what we wanted our character to look like. So we based our character model, what we wanted to get for a character model off of like online builds in this universe, and the story of the vampire hunter from a pre-existing vampire hunting faction that existed in the world books. In addition, we really wanted to capture the feel of the universe because it's really unique. So we took reference from images from the environment in the world books, as well as the book descriptions that we connected to game experiences like Journey and CSGO that we wanted to create this desolate post-apocalyptic world. And usually in game development, there is a time-quality-cost relationship to define scope, but we use a time-quality interest relationship instead because as students and pre-professionals, developing our career skills is what really influences our decision-making process. So we asked questions like, do we have enough time to build this feature? How much value does it add? And is this a skill we are interested in improving? So one example of this is in the enemy hierarchy. So in the actual IP, there are 4 types of vampires. And more variety of enemies would be true to the IP and increase the quality of the level, but none of us are seasoned combat programmers, nor do we really have the time or interest to really develop that skill, so we decided to focus on the 2 main enemies, wild and secondary vampires, and have the other vampires have more of a psychological connection than a physical one. And the last way that we made design decisions was iterating off of playtest feedback.
Rather than having a client, we have an SME this semester. We sent Katal a new build of our level almost every week so he could playtest and give feedback. Katal helped us approach level design through a professional lens. With Katal feedback, we also participated in a total of 7 playtest events, both with external non-ETC people and internally amongst students and faculty. Across the playtest events, we playtested with 72 people, with each playtest being around 15 minutes long. During the festival, we had over 50 additional playtesters, bringing us to 122 playtesters. As you can see, playtesting was a large part of our project because we wanted to use playtest feedback to enforce our design decisions, but we still had to pick which feedback to focus on. For example, some of the feedback we initially got was, I don't know where I'm shadow stepping to. Testers didn't want to use the skill because they weren't sure what would happen. Often people would try to jump over this gap rather than use their ability. To combat this, we added glowing red arrow to indicate where you would teleport to if you activated your shadow step ability and made the gap too wide to jump over. And it worked. Testers started using the skill more intentionally. Their concerns were evolved to, I can't pick where I'm shadow stepping to, which shows now an eagerness to use their ability in contrast to before.
However, that feature was outside of our programming knowledge and was mostly a player preference.
So after each play testing and the meeting with our SME, we kind of iterate on our levels step by step. We kind of focus on 5 main stages. So the first one is paper prototyping. And also we do the basic gray boxing in Unreal Engine. And finally, we start building our level step by step from each iteration. And after that, we reach out to our final product. So we kind of managed to make the level to make it engaging with a progressive flow and design the level to let the player use the mechanics as much as they can.
Our effort in level iteration paid off. During the playtest event, we took a questionnaire with the players. We asked them to rate us on 3 aspects: mechanics, engagement, and mission objective, which we mainly focus on in development using a 5-point scale. These are the average scores from the players' responses, and we believe we achieved satisfactory results.
So as for the places to improve, there are several places. For example, some puzzles are less frequently used in the second and the third level, so we plan to integrate what the player was taught into the rest of the levels. And another thing is that we want to add more various enemy AI and also adjusting the camera and our collider. As for our strategical, okay. Yeah, for wins, although there's lots of places we need to improve, and we believe the project was still very successful, and we're really proud the environment art and technical art were implement the shader, VFX, the models. Even with our limited programming ability, we're able to make the functioning gameplay, mechanic, and enemy AI. And in addition, we design interesting puzzle and levels that correspond to our narrative and build our long story within the universe. And to the next level design project, we have 3 advice. The first one is decide the mechanic earlier. This help define scope. And second one is lay out your mechanic in one floor and test the pro of the concept for your design. And third one is your design level, don't overwhelm yourself. And thank you. Now is the Q&A time.
Can you talk for a moment about your the environment art and how that integrated into level design? And if you had to do it over again, how would you better use your environment art to enhance the level design?
For the inner scene, we have like 3 levels. So we have a gray box initially. So and after that, our like 3D artist made some of the basic component of the art. After that, I will use some of the procedural way to like generate the way design want to be. Like there is only a flat word. They are gonna like use Houdini to make it into different shapes. And because original IP Rift is pretty chaotic. There are some magic, there are some like technical stuff. And after that, since we don't have like really dedicated 3D artists or like too much 3D artists, so we are using some of the free asset and that is fitting this IP and importing into the level. And some of the, we are using a procedural way to place on it. And for the shading method, because the Rift is like comic style, so we use a cell shader to make it to the IP, to fit into the IP. And for the outer scene, because it's a like playground area, we don't have too much like the gray box, so we made the desert, and this also related to the original IP, and there are too much restrictions, so we play some of the free assets, some of the assets we made. Thank you.
So you had to skip through your stretch goals slide for time reasons, I saw, but I'm curious, in addition to that, what are your plans for this project going forward? Because you're using an IP, so that might put some restrictions on it. Is there any way you can kind of like just wipe off the IP and release this?
I don't think a release is necessarily in the future. We did ask if we can maybe put it up like for free on like itch, and with a giant disclaimer, I think that's okay. But beyond that, like we can't like sell the game or anything unless like the creator of Rifts were to ask us to like buy our design, then that would be something we could do. But huge disclaimer of like, and only for free to play, kind of.
Has anyone thought to try to reach out to the creators and like, you know, even faculty or, you know?
Might have to ask Ricardo that one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think not.
You mentioned that you used a cell shader to honor the graphic novel that this is based on. Can you talk to me about exactly how you went about, because it's not a full cell shader, it's sort of halfway in between like either Fire Emblem or Shadow or Borderlands. Can you explain exactly how you split the difference other than 50% fade between the two?
I didn't go to that detail, to be honest, but initially we decided to use a cell shader, but in terms of how different from other cell shaders according to the IP, I didn't make too much differences, but I did like make like more layer. It's not too divided shadow. Yeah, but it's not because of the IP. It's just a different way to do it.
Thank you.
Hi, we're Team High Cave, and welcome to our final presentation. Our project for this semester is called Shroom Hats. Let's meet the team. I'm the producer and master, and this is Alex. Alex is our 3D artist, and Sissy is our UX designer. Lydia is our game designer and programmer, and Candace is our 3D artist and animator. And Mike, unfortunately, he is not here. He's currently taking final exam. And we have Mike and Scott as our instructor. And Steve Valdia is our client who built the whole cavern environment. And let's go through the project overview. Shroom Heads is a two-player stereoscopic game in cavern. In our game, the players will take roles as moles, collecting the mushroom along the way. And our project is a technical exploration of enhancing two-player interaction in cavern environment using head tracking technology. Okay, let's take a look at our demo video.
Welcome to the Shroom Hats Pickup Contest. Please stand up and walk near the mushrooms to pick them up. Great, you cleared all the mushrooms in the area. Now, let's get back onto the truck together. Let's pick up the mushrooms at the shroom stop. Clear all the mushrooms in the area. Now, let's get back onto the truck together. there are obstacles along the rail. Move your body to avoid them, or you will lose mushrooms. Watch out. Those rainbow-colored mushrooms are poisonous. Try to stay away from them. Move your body to avoid them, or you will lose mushrooms. Watch out. Those rainbow-colored mushrooms. Great. You cleared all the mushrooms in the area. Now, let's go back to your seats. Maybe a key is hidden somewhere in this place. Great. You cleared all the mushrooms in the area. Now, let's go back to your seats. Congratulations. You are our new Shun Hat champions. Great job.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk about the tech here. Because we are a technical exploration project, we have two main requirements from our client Steve. The first one is that we have to use head tracking. As you can see on the left, the screen and the view, the picture is still, that's without head tracking. And as you can see on the right gift, if we embrace our technique with head tracking on it, then the object in the scene is gonna distort while you're moving around the space. So we are actually the first project at ETC that use this technique. In general, head tracking just give you a much more strong depth, and then which make our game just generally immersive. Okay, so the second requirement for us is that this has to be a two-player game, which is also not done for any other cave project, or to say any other cave. So we decided to use splitting and merging technique in the game. So as you could see on the left side, when players sit down together, they physically get close to each other. Their view will gonna merge into one. And then on the right side, if they physically get apart from each other, we just hard split the screen in the middle, so each of the player will get their own rendering corresponding to their location. Okay, so when designing around the head tracking, we want to make use of the advantage that you could actually walk around objects, and then it's gonna change size or angles as you walk. So we design those mushrooms and then also logs to encourage player to move around an object to generally just feel how that technique actually works. As you could see on the right, because our project is kind of like only for the player, not the audience, so it would be very hard to see how the player is actually getting to the object inside the game. The right side is where we record a first player view through the 3D glasses and a cell phone. It still does not actually display a lot, but that's pretty much what you might see when you're actually in the game. So for the future projects in Cavern, there are various possibilities. They can use our template directly to build their own game, or they can implement an head tracking for multiplayer, which is 3 or more players, and using a dynamic screen split, which give you the screen slide depending on each player's view and perspective. So there are many possibilities to develop in the Cavern for other projects based from us.
Okay, so here we are going to talk about the game design. So our client's goal is making an experience which allows players to separate to do something, but together they'll collaborate with the head tracking. So based on that, we designed the game which allows the players separately collecting mushroom, and together they will always on the moving forward card. We suggest like how to make the separate and together part engaging is the most important and challenging part in the game design as a significant foundation in the game. So in the tutorial, as you can see, there will be a butterfly on different mushroom as a visual leading, encouraging the players to stand up and collecting the mushrooms individually to give them a sense that they will always do that separately. And in the starting animation, we will also have 2 little moles before the players to get on the card. That will teach the players to sit down on the card. And we also have some sound effects of the train whistles, encouraging the players to get back together on the card. And also, beside of those, the other important design idea is using a negative space and letting the players explore all aspects of the cavern. So based on that, we implemented a mushroom log with many mushrooms at different angles. The players will have to walk around the mushroom log into different positions of the cavern to collect those. And moreover, before the players open the final gate, they will need to collect 2 keys separately, and the keys are placed in the back of the statues. So since we already taught the players to collect the mushroom in different angles at the mushroom log before, the players know that they will need to walk around the statue to find the keys. And the keys are using the negative space, so the keys are like floating in players' eyes. And during our playtest and soft opening, our guests love to collect the mushrooms and enjoy the mechanism of taking a ride on the cart. They like sitting on it, and that will give them a sense of traveling in the magic world. And we successfully presented our experiences on the festival. There are in total 15 teams participated playing our game, and they will possibly enjoy it and feel very passionate about collecting mushrooms. And there are players dodging the obstacles very fiercely, and some players are on force reaching the mushroom that are on the edge, and some are standing on the cart to reach the reward mushrooms. Our artists are going to talk about the art
aspect. So in house, we set up our art style, made some art assets, design and model this cute character mold, and build a world guests can experience. Then we need to expand the world and give our guests a longer and richer experience. Now we have a world with 4 islands. The waterfall island also functions as tutorial island. The bamboo island, also our mushroom pickup stop 1. The flower island, stop 2, and the puzzle island, also our final and reward island. In the first island, we customized a moving water material that put it on a plane to make this waterfall. Then we made this flying butterfly as visual guidance. Also modeled a new tree with young and old version. We also made 3D animation tutorial to let guests easy in the game and indicate their modes. All of that made the island feel alive. In this bamboo island, aligned with our original concept, the bamboo forest, we added the logs that raise the mushroom's position so the guests can walk around the log and feel the advance of our head tracking technique. We also use a PNG image instead of real props at the background to release the performance. On the way to this island, we have the fog made by particle systems and a tunnel to block the view to create suspense, and the glowing effect of the mushroom, also some obstacles for the guests to interact with.
Moving on to the flower island, where we introduced the poison mushrooms, which it prevents players from picking everything all at once. And we make sure it looks different from all the other mushrooms. And on the puzzle island, we were tasked, to utilize head tracking. So for the puzzle finding, we used to have just like a puzzle break in half for them to find it, but then during playtesting, it was very confusing, and then we decided to redesign it to something look like mushrooms, since they were picking up mushrooms in all the 3 islands, and just to reduce confusion. And we designed a couple assets, multiple mushroom shrines to encourage players to explore the space, utilizing the cavern height tracking.
And at last, we made the animation and the mushroom ring to celebrate the end of their journey. Okay, so in conclusion, Shroomhead is a technical exploration of enhancing two-player interaction in the cavern environment using the head tracking technology. And thank you for listening, and we are open for Q&A.
All right, thanks, guys. So you built a game specifically around the idea of utilizing head tracking as put forth by the project description. And you did it, and now you've gotten on the other end of it where you've built it and had a lot of people test it and try it out. Let's say hypothetically you were asked to recreate this game, your game idea, the theme and everything, without head tracking. Do you feel like, well, no, it would be terrible and wouldn't work, or the head tracking didn't quite add enough and that you could probably do it the other way? There's no wrong answer.
If you are talking about this game specifically, it's not going to work without head tracking, because obviously we have functions and features that is mostly depending on it. But if you, as our client asks us to create another game without head tracking, I think we can probably put it up.
I was just asking, like, now that you've figured out what the head tracking adds, does it add so much that you couldn't do this without it, or does it only add a little bit, and now that you've tested it and it could be done? Like, that was the goal, was to figure out what it adds and lean into that,
so
literally.
I think the head tracking mostly add on interaction aspect and also experience as you actually immersive in like a real life 3D scene. So I would say head tracking is a huge plus.
So you guys laid the foundation for future teams to use this new, let's say, iteration of the cavern, right? If a new team were to approach what you've done and they didn't have the opportunity to speak to you, they looked at your, documentation and so on, is there something or some things that would represent, that you would give caution for, like, hey, this was particularly difficult, or, watch out for this, or did you sort of smooth out all of those pathways?
Oh yeah, so we definitely have something that we want to tell the future team to try to avoid, is also some sort of limitation that we figure out while we developing this game. And obviously there are also features and functions that we kind of like smooth it a little bit from like our previous, when we take over this project. Yeah.
And maybe pay attention to the scope so they don't add a lot of props in the environment that cause a lot of laggings or something like that.
Okay. Hello everyone, we're Team Pat. Here's a nice photo of us. Our instructors are Dave and Tom. So a quick recap. We're a team. Our project is about making a toolkit for game developers to help them make action games. So by quarters, we had already made our very first 3D demo with our own toolkit. It goes to test two major pieces of any action game, which are locomotion and combat. These are the foundation of our feature sets as well. So most of the other toolkits out there can make something like this, but it was still a really good starting point for us. Our second prototype was a 2D Castlevania game. So this one is pretty difficult to make with other toolkits, as we've explained in our halves presentation, due to the Castlevania's nature of requiring a highly flexible, locomotion and combat system. But we did it with pad, and it was a great validation and gave us a lot of confidence in knowing that we can make something that the other products out there simply cannot make. So before we go on and talk about what happened after halves, I actually want to pause here and explain a bit about why we're making games when we're a project about making a toolkit that makes games. So like any other software construction, we always start with code, which is the system. Then in order to turn code into an actual product people can use, our decision was to make prototypes with our own toolkit by ourselves to find out the missing features required to actually make a game. Then we add those features to our package, and we provide that package with tutorials and documentation to our users, and we call that our product. So prototyping is our way to find actual use cases of our toolkit, and we will keep doing that, and we will ask some of our first users to do that as well for future iterations.
So now that we have the product, the question is, where do we get users? And for doing that, we have two things to finish. The first one is that we need to teach people how to use PAD. And the second question is that we need to find people to actually use PAD. So for the first question, we have the documentations, and we did the documentations with these two lists. First one is the definition and also API details. The other one is the tutorials for different topics. We adopted this form from other Unity toolkit, like the Corgi engine, and this is a slide we had on our half presentation. So after the first version of documentation is completed, we went on another round of internal prototyping. And this time, the three non-programmers in the team who are not as familiar with the toolkit as the programmers are working separately on their own project. And this round of prototyping is meant to test whether the tutorial is sufficient to help them understand how to use PAD and create something that they want. So we had limited our assets, which makes them look a little bit similar, but they were testing different aspects of the toolkit. And it was proven that they could understand how to use PAD after some struggles. And by struggles, we mean that they were doing things in an order that we didn't expect them to do, which ended up causing up some mess in the basic settings of Penguin Action Toolkit. So based on that, we learned that we need to make some adjustments on documentation so that they have the full understanding of PAD before they are actually doing something that we didn't expect them to do. So we went on to the second version of the documentation where we designed a step-by-step guide. It used 10 steps and also 4 practices to explain the underlying principles of PAD, the definitions of important concepts, and also the examples of desired behaviors. So it was delivered with a Unity scene inside the package, and each step guides you to add more functionality to an existing character, which is the penguin. So we want users to play with this half-completed demo so that they don't have to be in complete confusion when they're trying to start from scratch. So we use this website called Gitbook. It provides us a very neat template for users to skim through the things, and they can just search for the information that they need. After we have the step-by-step guide, we also mentioned that in the welcome page that you should try to complete a guide before you're just randomly playing around with our toolkit. So with the documentation completed, now we are confident to say that we can send out our package to the external users. And this is where our playtesters come in. And the external users, thanks to the faculties, Ruth, Mike, and Phil, they all gave some feedbacks based on their experiences with our toolkit. Some about the toolkit itself, and some are about the documentations, like the photo does not match with the tutorial scene that you provided in the package. Some of the questions, we can solve them immediately and come back to them, but some of them we need to solve by time. And we managed to fix them. And so apart from the users from EDC, we also hope that there can be real users in the real world. Typically, this is supposed to be done by the playtest day, but as you might have realized, this is going to be a tough day for us because we are delivering a toolkit. It's not a game, and it's not an experience. And the playtesters might not even know what Unity is. However, it went on well, and it went beyond our expectations because there were real game developers who came into our room, went through our documentations and websites, and they joined our Discord channel and also gave a lot of positive feedbacks on what we did. So interestingly, many of the playtesters who came on the playtest day came back again on the festival day because they are eager to see what's new about Pad. However, this is still not enough because we want people to actually use Pad, and that is the reason we claim that we were going to support BVW Round 4.
As mentioned, we want BVW to use our toolkit to build their virtual world for Round 4. Thus, we ran a workshop, additional workshop to introduce our toolkit and explain how to use our toolkit to build some small scope game with it to the first year and some other participants who's also interested in the toolkit. On one side, due to the nature of the time constraint, we don't really get real team use for Round 4. Like a lot of participants love the toolkit and would like to use it in the future, but they were not available to implement for the project this time. On the other side, the workshop experience itself provides us a very solid foundation for how to run a workshop introducing our tool for the future. And since BVW didn't work, we didn't get the actual playtester for our toolkit, so we made a second attempt by running a game jam and in which participants are asked to use our toolkit to build a boss fight experience with 24 hours.
So in order to attract more game jammers to participate in our game jam, we have prepared lots of various promotional materials, including a 1-minute short trailer, posters with fancy cover, and some game jam info. We also posted these materials through various social media such as Discord, WeChat, emails, etc. And this is the trailer we made for the game jam. Okay, so for the Game Jam package, we not only provided them with our Pad Toolkit package, but also include a sample scene, sample character, and a sample weapon for them to use. In order to match the theme of our symbolic character, which is the penguin, we created a scene full of iceberg and surrounded the ice surface with the wooden fences to create the look and feel of a PvP battle arena, so that jammers could use our theme with sample assets to create their own action game.
And here's a brief overview of the schedule of the game jam. Like you can see, it's kind of intense as a 24 hours one. And the most noticeable part is that first, we ran a second workshop for the game jam itself. Second, we got the tech support hours. For the workshop we run, like we reused many experience we had from the previous BVW workshop, and this time we spend more time showcasing the frequent Q&A. So we are not just explaining how to use the toolkit, but we illustrated more something like how to use your own assets to replace our example assets. This will provide the user a better starting point, and as well as stimulating with some more motivations. For the tech support, we of course answer a lot of pet-specific questions, but more importantly, we are not just helping our user to make their product, but also like we get a lot of feedback and space of improvement from that. Since like the user, like game jammers, they tend to do something that is actually hard to do with the current structure of pad. So we will collect those scenarios, categorize them, and possibly put them into the future update list if it's a reasonable request. And at the end, finally, after a game jam, we got 3 very distinct submissions. Involved them, the first one, player cannot attack, but instead you need to cast a special flower, a magical flower to calm the giant down and become friends sitting on the chair. In another of them, like the player need to collect traditional Chinese character in order to combine them into words, then cast spells with it. In the last one, sorry, it's a gift, there's no sound, but this one is specifically implementing a lot of sound elements and feedback with it, so it's more of a traditional game, but it's a well-polished one. Yeah.
Except testing, we also polish our toolkit a lot to improve the usability. This is a node graph that we finished before half. It can display our pet character as a node graph, which solved the problem that it was hard to manage and maintain the character during developing. However, we found that the user also found it hard to track the game tag information, which is another important feature, important component of every action. To solve that, we add the tag-related information in the action node, and we also create the tag search function inside the editor. This was very well received during later playtests, especially the game jam. We've also created our own timeline editor that can edit the modifiers and preview the animation under the effect. Originally, users could only see through all the attached scripts and edit the parameters. And it was very unintuitive and hard to see the final result. So now they can easily preview the animation and drag to adjust the speed and the duration of every modifiers. This was extremely helpful when refining the character behavior and was greatly praised by several festival guests.
And now we are thrilled to announce that our toolkit got validated and accepted by Asset Store team, and now it is published on the official Unity Asset Store as Penguin ARPG Toolkit. So people who are interested in making action games can find our toolkit on the store page and give it a try. We hope by publishing the package, we can have more potential users trying our toolkits and giving us feedback for future iterations. Besides, we as publishers have a better way to release new updates on our toolkits, as well as provide long-term tech support to the users. We created a Discord server for technical support, and it also played an important role in our game jam support. And beyond this semester, we've also contacted the GDC to seek more opportunities to showcase our toolkits. For now, we are planning to advertise our toolkit on ETC booths and try to contact more users. And here is a semester timeline from our page slides, and we did follow this plan to complete our project. We completed most of the toolkit function by half and playtested internally to make sure it works well. And after half, we mainly focused on the documentation and external playtest. We tried our best to find more users and using our toolkit and iterate it according to the user's feedback. And at the end of the semester, we held a mini game jam and had our toolkit finally published on Unity Asset Store. Through this semester, we explored the approach to a Unity toolkit which can be used by both internal and external users and fulfill their needs in action game development. This approach includes both technical challenge and playtest challenge, and we managed to find solutions to all these challenges. And now we can see that PAD is a fully functional toolkit for action game development. And here we also want to give special thanks to all our users. Thank you all for trying our toolkit and giving valuable feedback to us. And that's all for our presentation. Now we are open for questions.
Can you talk a little bit more about the inspiration by and influence of the Unreal toolkit that you mentioned that was based on?
The Unreal toolkit that we see as inspiration is a GAS, Game Ability System. Like, the inspiration is mainly from gameplay tech that, like, while it's not exactly the same thing, like Unreal, like, they ban and grant the permission of what they call ability based on tag, while we use this pattern to build a finite state machine. It's so the similar part is that we both made the same object contains multiple what we call tag, and the tag is centralized and organized in some places else. That's part of the main inspiration. It gave us a very good starting point at the beginning, but then we end up having a very different direction later. Especially, we became more action-driven game focused and did something Gas didn't do, and don't have something Gas did for other type of game as well. So we end up very different now.
So you have a real nice tutorial, but it was made before you created some new things after your game jam. And updating the tutorial and updating the samples just takes time. Are you planning to update the tutorial and the samples to match the current state of things and include things like the visualization timeline?
Yeah, so we certainly do plan to update the documentations, and since you are one of our users, you might have realized that as soon as you update some part of our toolkit, it is not going to be reflected immediately on the documentation because it just takes time to update all the photos and all the words that we wrote. And so but yes, we do plan to make at least fix everything and to make sure that they align with the tutorial scene, and that's what we plan to do.
Cool. So hi everyone, welcome to the Gravity final presentation. Today we would like to introduce our project as well as show you a live demo of our game. We want to talk about the iterations of our project and our future plans. We're a team of 6 very talented people covering a wide range of skills. We also have our instructors, Jonathan and Ricardo, helping us with the project. Our subject matter expert and acting client is Xpogo, and we would like to especially thank Will and Nick for supporting our project throughout the semester, for coming to the festival, and thank you, Will, for coming today.
So for the game design and narrative part, by week 7, we have already got proof of our concept and built the pipeline. So now it's time to think about the vision of our game. So we plan to add a tutorial before the main level to help the player get all the mechanics. And after that, the player can go into main level and fully focus on the polling part. So, and we also break down the game flow into 3 sections. The first one is the preparation, where the player can collect all the props scattered in the scene and do the exploration at the same time. And then they will bring the props to the stage to attend the Pogo Fest, where they can do tricks to collect points as much as they can. And finally, after the competition, they will rush home as soon as possible, as this is a trigger time event. And we also draw an intro comic and the ending comic to illustrate the whole story. And we'll demonstrate it by a live demo.
Now let's have our speed run champion, Rochelle, to demonstrate the game. So this is the main menu for our game, and then you hit A to start the game. And then we have 3 different modes: tutorial, story mode, and free roam. So in the tutorial mode, there will be step-by-step instructions for the players to teach them how to use a controller to control the character. And the players could practice like flipping and then boost in the tutorial tunnel. And then the instructions are in this form of glowing question marks, where when the character hit the question mark, the instructions gonna be popped up. And then this is also the same for when they first hit the prop. And then instead of just pressing A, the players need to hold A to close the window. And yeah, you could do like tricks to fill up the rocket boost. And then you could do a rocket jump to do a advanced trick for the claps, which will allow you to exchange for the hoodie. And then we have this kind of large containers all around for you to practice jumping, pogoing. And then after you collect all the props, you will be able to enter the main level. And since this is a demo, the character just don't spawn here for our real game. And yeah, there are coins along the way for the players to collect. And the main goal for this is to collect all 8 props and outfits for the final Pogo Fest. And then yeah, you could do like rocket jump to see the overview of the map, as well as getting class for the outfits. And then after you complete collecting all 8 items, you will be able to enter the Pogo Fest. In the Pogo Fest, you will do all the tricks you've learned before to get points, and then you could jump on different platforms to get points as well. And then this is a timed event. After the Pogo Fest is finished, Bucky then needs to rush home under 1 minute. And you could see there's a huge sign over there that helps the players to know where to go. Yeah, and then since you're a master of Pogo, now you could do a rocket jump to just head home in 10 seconds. And then we have 2 different endings depending on whether Bucky Hack successfully get home or not.
Cool. But yeah, so now let's talk about the iterations for our project. These are all the play testings that we attended or hosted after half presentation. Some milestones we worked towards was ETC playtest, the Gravitrix playtest we hosted, soft opening, and of course festival. These play testings had a significant impact on the iteration of our project, and one of those categories is gameplay mechanics iteration. First of all, after half, we noticed that the pogo bounce was not as accurate as we were hopeful, and the game feel was not as satisfying. We decided to analyze real pogo footage frame by frame, and this is the result we achieved. This is a frame-by-frame comparison by the end. We reconfigured the collision, physics, and animation to have an accurate and satisfying representation of the bounce. We also implemented all the basic mechanics after half presentation, including front and back flips to move in air, classic tricks filling up the rocket jump bar, and rocket jump enabling advanced tricks. Initially, we had 4 classic tricks implemented, which are B-spins, 1-foot peg grab, no-handed peg grab, and a stick flip. We later had a play test with our client Will on week 13, and based on the feedbacks, we decided to add 4 more classic tricks that are integral to the Pogo community, which are bar spin, a Superman, an under-like bar spin, and a wraparound. We also had 4 advanced tricks that were inspired by Baby Freeze from Breakdance Move, a Flare from Breakdance Move, a Guitar Strum pattern, and McGrid's, which is inspired by like a pogo trick. We initially encountered a great setback for the advanced trick mechanics because it was unintuitive and lacks feedback for the players. They were not able to get mechanics during playtest day. We decided to first simplify the mechanics from rapid tapping to holding down a button. We also implemented various UI visual indicators to help the player understand where they are during the progress of an advanced trick. This yielded a significant improvement for the gameplay experience, shown by a survey comparison. Players able to get advanced trick mechanics improved from 30% on week 10 to 87% on week 12.
And we have also achieved several strategical mechanics. One is the grinding. The player will be able to grind from the higher to the lower endpoints when the slope is greater than 0. And when the slope is approximately 0, the player will grind towards the facing directions. And we also have 2 different animations depending on whether the player is grinding on the left or right. And initially, this mechanics is triggered by a button. However, during playtest, we noticed that it was difficult for players to remember so many mechanics, so we have changed grinding to be automatic. And we also add a logic to stop grinding using a flip. And we also have a wall jump mechanics, and initially this was also triggered by a button. And after playtest, for the same reason as grinding, we have changed this to be automatic, and we also added different animations for 4 ranges of angles of wall jump. And the third mechanics is the stalling. The player will automatically stall when landing on the edges. And during playtests, we observed that some playtesters would consider stalling as being stuck. And there were a decent amount of playtesters that have the intuition to use a flip to get out of the situations. And so as a result, we have tuned the mechanics so that the motion is more smooth and satisfying. We have also made several improvements for better experience. So we have noticed that with a delicate collider, player could easily stuck onto the edges, which break the flow of the game. So we have added a capsule collider on the upper part of the character so that it could slide down on the edges. And special thanks to alumni Hagen Miller for suggesting the idea. We also added a fading effect to avoid clipping into the player. And we have further optimized the camera so that we could reduce more clipping from happening.
Next is the level design. So I'll talk about the tutorials. So during softs, we found that the tutorial level was a little bit short, and players felt overwhelmed by the tutorials because there were a lot of question marks in the tutorial level, and they were not able to figure out all the mechanics. So, and in addition to that, some of the tutorial hints were also in the main level. And when players tried to learn the tutorials, they found that the different objects in the main environment were too distracting and too crowded for them to learn. So we redesigned the tutorial level to be more spacious, long, and also themed according to the game. And currently, the tutorial level contains all the tutorials that the players need to learn before they go into the main level. And it's gated to make sure that they learn the mechanics and then they progress into the story mode. We also added some unique challenges to the tutorial level because our game, as opposed to a normal action game, has a unique movement mechanic which the players felt difficult getting used to in the beginning. So we added some challenges that could help the players learn the movement mechanics in a faster manner. And as a result, we were able to make sure that the players learned all the mechanics in the tutorial level, and then when they go into the story mode, they know how to move around, and most of the players were able to finish the story mode. Next is the main level.
So after half presentation, we decided to rescope the level design. So we think that the new map should be like 1.5 or 2 times of the half pre-demo map. And during week 9, we are able to get the basic grid box layout for the main level. And during week 10 and 11, the main level was like pretty much finished by softs. And also from week 10 to week 12, we managed to make a fancier stage that will guide players to the performance. And here is a survey comparison that will show we can see the most player did successfully find the stage after we made the change. And recently we just add the free roam mode to our game where we remove some of the UI and the story. And also during week 9, we add the stylized skybox to our game to match the visual effects and the game vibe. And also we add the fog to the non-playable area, preventing player from getting out of the game map. And also we made a new theme house for our main character, so we'll provide a better visibility in the game. And also here's some graffiti arts for decorating the space and also adding to the world building. And also we add a ripple effect when player hit the invisible walls. And we also add a broadcast view on the stage, and you can switch between front or side views. Next we'll have Casey talk about UI.
So we have a couple updates after week 10 playtest. This is an overview before the week 10 playtest, and then this is some of the UIs after the week 10 playtest day. So for example, we have a more informative UI for the instructions. We added the controller for players who are not very familiar with controllers. And also for the collectible UIs, we've made it more clarified. So instead of simply having colored shapes, we replaced with the in-game model. And then we also changed the color of the coins and claps to differentiate between them. And this is also proven by the survey. Around 50% more of people have mentioned that after all the changes, it's much clearer and more understandable.
So talking about the future plans, we plan to release the game on itch and Steam in the next couple of months. We are still figuring out the logistics of how to publish as a team, since we are all international students and Steam requires a company to publish. So if anyone from the audience knows or has a way, please let us know. But yeah, that's it for the presentation. Thank you. No questions.
Can you talk about the emotional space you had to go to create a bucket dog?
So that was a very important design decision. I thought it was a great reward for the players that were managed to get home in time. But yeah, it also adds to the world building, I guess. I don't know.
Did you take gameplay inspiration from tricks games like Tony Hawk or SSX, or did you intentionally avoid that to kind of get a fresh view of the whole thing, or somewhere in between?
Initially, yeah, no, Tony Hawk definitely was one of the games that gave us a lot of inspirations, along with Pogo Stuck, which is a Pogo meme game, a rage game, and a lot of roller drum, yeah. So we took a lot of inspirations from those tricks or extreme sports game, but we also wanted to not fully copy their mechanics and have a full story told in our project, because it's more of a demo instead of a full fleshed out AAA game. So yeah. We did it.
So, hi again, we're Team Step Up. I'm Eva, the producer of the team. With me is Anna, our narrative and level designer. Lawrence and Regina, our 3D artists. Yawen, our UI UX designer. And Tyler, our programmer. Charles and Heather has been a wonderful guide throughout the entire semester. And we're partnering with The World You Found. With us is Dr. Courtney Cash, Cameron Case, and Kelly Barnes. And they're now joining us on the live stream. Hello. So, let's talk about the mission. World You Found is a social enterprise that is investing in global health from the ground up. Their mission is to break the cycle of poverty and disease. As poor hygiene leads to disease, and disease leads to students missing school and having bad performance at school, and influence their lives so on. The World You Found brings the Wash and Wear program to local communities in underserved areas. These students might be going outside without a decent pair of shoes, let alone remembering to wash their hands and feet. The Wash and Wear program teaches them the proper way of hand washing and foot washing. And at the end, students are able to get a pair of shoes to wear to protect them from illness and injuries. Now, the World You Found is seeking to extend this impactful program to an exciting virtual world. So, this is where Step Ups comes in with our Hygiene Hero Cup game. Hygiene Hero Cup will be an extension of the Wash and Wear program. After the Wash and Wear, teachers will bring this game to their classroom and start the gameplay activity to reinforce the hygiene message. With that being said, Hygiene Hero Cup is a transformational game designed for 10 to 13 years old that talks about proper hygiene practices. With this, the awareness and beliefs of hygiene matters will stick into their heart. Built on Android tablet, the 3 mini-games teach 3 different hygiene concepts within a unique world.
To approach this subject, there's work need to be done. We connected with several SMEs and also had an interview with local students and teachers in Rwanda. We gained a deeper understanding of the environment, lifestyle, public health, and gaming culture. As a transformational project, it is important to have a clear transformational framework. We defined our target audience as students around 10 to 14 years old, and our game will be used in a classroom setting. We also did literature research to identify the barriers and understood that students, they don't understand the risk and consequences, and there's not enough motivation and reinforcement for them to apply proper hygiene practices. We envision that with the game, there will be changes in their behavior, skills, disposition, and beliefs.
After gathering all the information, we crafted an engaging and educational narrative with the theme of Hygiene Hero competition and 3 mini-games. The first mini-game is called Hygiene Jump. It teaches students the proper steps of hand washing. With a tutorial and vivid visuals, students learn these steps through the constant reinforcement. And the second game is called Soap Surfing. In this game, players shrinks down and serves their course a giant food on a soup bar, and eliminating the germs, mites, and leaves along the way. This visually striking experience teaches students the importance of washing their feet regularly to stay healthy. And in the third game, the shoe dash emphasizes the importance of shoes. Without the shoes, players will constantly get hurt by stepping on the obstacles. And once they put their shoes on, they will be protected and safe, helping them to understand the importance of shoes. And since we are designing a game for players primarily from Africa, we conducted very thorough research and make design choices tailored to their context to ensure the cultural relevance. And in the early iterations, we playtest the game with local high school students in Pittsburgh and also the individuals closer to our target demographic during the playtest day to validate its playability and its educational message.
While these playtests provide insights about the playability and clarity of its educational message, we knew that this testing with our target audience was essential to understand its transformational potential fully. Initially, the team planned to conduct playtests in Rwanda before the semester's halfway point, but things changed beyond our control. We had to rework our plans. Despite these challenges, we remained committed to finding ways to engage with our target audience. This led us to an incredible new opportunity, traveling to Ghana to connect with students who are also at the heart of Hygiene Hero Cup's mission. This pivotal experience reaffirmed the importance of testing directly with the audience we aim. Before we headed to Ghana, we knew this playtest was a big deal. It wasn't just about testing the game, it was about creating an experience and getting in touch with our target audience. When we arrived at the school, we quickly realized that the actual scenario was quite different from what we had planned. We found out there will be about 30 students in the classroom, all testing the game at the same time. A situation far from our initial idea of small, focused playtesting sessions. But the team adapted quickly. We decided to split the students into 3 smaller groups. This allowed us to focus more on the playtesting experience. Within each group, we initially asked the teacher to assign 2 students to play the game on the tablet while the other observes. However, the students naturally started discussing the game with each other, with everyone wanted to interact with the tablet. So we adjusted again. For the later groups, we stopped assigning players and instead let all the students share the tablets. This turned out to be a great decision, as it kept all the students highly engaged during the playtest.
To conduct the playtesting in the most effective way, we came up with a lesson plan that turned the playtest into more than just gameplay. It included activities before, during, and after the game. The goal was to create a full experience, like a mini hygiene workshop, while also gathering the data we need to improve the game. The plan was simple but effective. To kick things off, we started with a creative activity before the game. And we asked the students to imagine this scenario. What would someone's hand and feet look like after playing outside all day without wearing shoes and washing their hands properly? Using this prompt, the students were given a worksheet with hand-foot outlines on the front, where they could draw their thoughts and ideas. On the back of the worksheet, they answered 3 simple like-a-scale questions that measure their thoughts on topic related to the game. This helped us to get a clear picture of what they already knew and believe about hygiene. And then we move on to the game, and after the game, we repeated the same structure in the post-activity, and we also offered them a co-design activity to see what else do they expect in the game. Another hard part of this project was to see its impact, since it takes longer to see the actual behavioral change. The pre- and post-test design allow us to see its day 1 impact on the spot.
Now let's talk about the results. After Monday's testing, we noticed that our Likert scale questions weren't as effective. Most of the students chose really agree, which makes it hard to see the clear difference between their pre- and post-test results. To get more accurate data, we immediately went back to work to revise the questions focusing more on the emotions, asking if the students liked the actions of washing hands, washing feet, and wearing shoes. We thought maybe resonating with the game character might influence their feelings about these actions. By Wednesday, with the new set of questions, the results showed a clear shift. Students moved their responses to the higher end of the scale, indicating that they found these hygiene practices more likable after playing the game. This confirmed the game's positive impact on their attitudes. Also, we compared their hand and foot drawings, which is an immediate way to see if the game teaches a lesson. From these drawings, we found out that the number of germs increased overall, and also they draw them with more details. They also showed awareness of hazard on grounds and also hygiene facts, like between the fingers and toes, they have the highest concentration of germs. In addition, we also did a co-design activity. We did this to better understand what they comprehended from the game. We asked them how would they describe our game to their friends and family, and what would they add more onto the game. This activity actually turned out to be a huge surprise. We were all amazed by their creativity and ideas. They drew objects related to each minigames, which shows that they did pay attention to the game. They also drew creative visualizations of elements that wanted to add on the game. Some students chose to describe their thoughts on detail with writings. They wrote down takeaways of each minigames, which is a strong proof that our game's learning goals has made an impact. Some also made specific suggestions about our game design, which is valuable feedback that our team would definitely look into for our next steps. The pre and post activity provides us with great insight into whether the game is showing its impact. Plus, the difference of drawings shows that our game did raise their awareness and knowledge about germs and protection. The Likert scale results also brings out the fact that their impression about the behaviors shifted. This is what shows that our project is hitting its point and making influence.
In addition to the co-design activity gave us a deeper understanding about the students. They wrote down good game design ideas that will be a good foundation for our future evolutions. Despite the fact that we can't be in Rwanda, we still wanted to bring the game's impact to there as planned. Thanks to our connection, Chris, he helped us do a playtest with the kids, and we got valuable feedback from them. This will also be a foundation for the next iteration of the game. Chris will also be hosting more playtests locally in Rwanda, and we're excited to hear more about the game. So, what are the next steps? Seeing its impact in firsthand, we believe that there's potential for Hygiene Hero Cup to transform the world. Hygiene Hero Cup will be sustained as the next part of the Wash and Wear program and World Shoe Found's future distribution. And they will also utilize the game for research and host on their own platform. To maximize the game's influence, there's also suggestions that the game can be on public platforms like Google Play Store for students around the world to all have a chance to play the game. This journey has been incredible, from turning our ideas into a game and seeing its impact reach across the world. Watching Hygiene Hero Cup come to life and inspire change has been a wonderful journey for all of us. So, to sum up, Hygiene Hero Cup is a transformational game designed for 10 to 13 years old, helping them build proper hygiene practices and belief. Our final deliverables is a 3D Android tablet game featuring 3 engaging mini-games, each focused on teaching hygiene-related topic. Thank you for your listening. We're open to questions.
Can you speak a little bit to how you managed the scope of this project? You had an interesting challenge, which was a big trip at the end where you needed possibly something to play, but also designing something transformational. So how did you manage the need to deliver, but also the need to sort of explore design?
We spent like 2 weeks in the beginning of the semester just for doing research and building on the narrative. And we also aimed that before the trip, we should have a complete build. So before heading to Ghana, our goal is to make 3 games ready for all the testing. And so each game took about 1 to 2 weeks to build in the entire creating process. And I think like 3 mini games is a relevant, reasonable scope for like finishing everything before week 12. For you.
Thanks. Regarding the co-design part of your experience, what were some significant takeaways, from that part of it? And how would you advise future teams to work, or would you advise future teams to work co-design in earlier in the process?
So, as we showed on the previous slide, the biggest takeaway was that whether see if they comprehended the game as we intended first, and then they also showed us a lot of new creative ideas about what they wanted to add on the game, and which was really new to us. Some of them are really new to us that we had a lot of discussions between the playtests, and for this playtest, we did the code design activity after the game, but for the future playtests, I think we can also have another prompt other than the questions that we asked that could really get the answers from them more creatively before the activity, before the playtest.
Thank you.
That's the last project. Thank you, teams.